What's up guys, it's Mike for Sim Racing 604, and before I begin today's video I just want to say a huge thank you to you guys for helping me pass the 9,000 subscribers mark. That's such a huge mark and bigger than I could have ever hoped for this channel, so thank you so much. I've seen a lot of new names in the comments, welcome guys, and a lot of familiar names as well, so thank you guys for your support over the almost 2 years that this channel has been around. So just wanted to say off the top just a huge thank you to all you guys and welcome to the new people. And now let's get on to the content of today's video. So guys, something new I'm going to be introducing for 2019 on this channel is a rating system. So most reviewers do have some sort of rating system, you know, be it thumbs up, thumbs down, rating out of 100, rating out of 10, a letter grade, something like that. Most reviewers do have something like that, so I am going to be creating that, and I'm calling it the Mike Score. Not very creative, it's a working title, okay, and I've taken it from the Doug Score. Doug DeMuro is one of my favorite YouTube channels. He gets to drive all sorts of exotic supercars and things like that, and he gives them a Doug Score at the end. But of course, being real life cars, he rates them on how they would be as daily drivers, as well as how they perform on the track. I don't care about sim racing cars, of course, for daily drivers. I just want to know how they perform. So I'm going to create a rating system. So there's actually 5 categories that'll be rated out of 10. I'll take that, total it up out of 50, double it, and that will give a score out of 100. And then I'll assign a letter grade to it, I think. I haven't fully worked out the details here, but I do know I want some sort of rating system. So talking about the 5 categories, the first one is visuals. Now, of course, the best Automobilista mod will not look as good as the worst Gran Turismo sport car. Let's face it, they're in just kind of different leagues, so they will be scored relative to each other. You might make a fantastic looking mod for Automobilista that can score a 10 out of 10, and conversely, if something comes out for, I don't know, Project Cars 2 or something, if there's mods coming out for that look really bad compared to the rest of Project Cars 2, it's going to score lower. So, you know, it depends on the game, it's relative to the game. Second category is the sound. Now, the sound is kind of tricky because you know, if somebody creates, and we know we're going to get Formula E cars very, very soon in R-Factor 2, second gen Formula E cars that is, and they still sound like a power drill. No matter how you spin it, it's not going to sound as good as, you know, the BMW M1 Pro car or something like that. It's just not going to sound that good. So it'll be scored relative to, you know, is this a reasonable recreation of what the car would sound like in real life? And of course, I don't have every engine sound available to me. I might look up a few YouTube videos just to confirm what the actual car sounds like in most cases, and just kind of compare it to that. But if they've made a reasonable effort, you know, they're going to score higher. A reasonable effort to recreate the real life car, that is, they're going to score higher. Third category is the drivability of the car. How do the cars feel? Is the, you know, physics of it intuitive? The force feedback, how does it feel? Can you feel the road? That kind of thing. Again, it's going to vary a lot from sim to sim, but compared to other cars, and we all probably have our reference cars to how things should feel in the particular sim, and compared to that, how does it rate? We'll give you a score out of 10. The fourth category is the fun factor and relevance, and I'm kind of lumping two things together, but a car has to be relevant. And what I mean by that is, if you create the best, and there's an example that comes to mind, okay, the recent, was it the Porsche RSR for Race Room? Is a classic Porsche, I'm gonna say from the 70s. I can't remember exactly the details of this car, but I'm sure most of you know what I'm talking about. And it's a fantastic little car. Race Room really did, or Sector 3 did a really, really great job of it. The problem was, it was on its own. It was Group 4, so there's no other categories. They did include 30, 40 liveries, whatever it may be, with this car, but still you're only racing against the same exact car, so that's going to lose points. But if you, let's see, for example, the Jetta GT3 that we've just seen come out from Sean Clark, of course we have a lot of GT3 cars in this out, of course, to race it against, so it's going to score higher. But it also, a car could just be fun to drive. It could be a one-off, like the Ford Transit we got last year. Could score very, very high just based on the fact that it's so much fun to drive. And yeah, can you push it around Nordschleife in whatever we were shooting for, 9 minutes or whatever? So that's going to score high. And finally, value. So obviously a free mod will get 10 out of 10, unless you have to jump through some kind of hoops or something like that to you know, redeem that free mod. But a paid mod will rate from 0 to 10 based on how I feel it's going to score, you know, or excuse me, how I feel the value of the car is. If it's, you know, $2 and a fantastic mod, it's going to score very, very high. If it's $10, and we have seen some $10 mods for Assetto Corsa, and not very good, it's going to score lower on the scale, of course. So it's all going to depend on what I feel is the value of the car, but again, free will score an automatic 10. And I'm also going to be assigning up to 5 bonus points for innovation. So this is not a requirement. Somebody still could score a perfect 50 out of 50 in what we've talked about so far in the 5 categories, but there's also 5 points for innovation. So something that I didn't think of in a mod. So what comes to mind immediately is like the tire blankets for the RSS 2000, or you know, the Enzo you just saw driving on your screen. When you go into showroom view, the hood, excuse me, the rear gate opens up so you can see the engine in showroom. It's pretty awesome. So if something is innovative, if they're, you know, sort of pushing the limits of what we know about mods and about sim racing, that's very cool, and they're going to get points for innovation. Another way to do it is to fill in a void. There's certain cars we would really like to see in sim racing that we just don't have good versions of, so you can score up to 5 bonus points for that. So I'll total that up and multiply it by 2, and that'll give a score out of 100, and I'm going to assign a letter grade to it. And now keep in mind that the letter grade or the score out of 100 isn't going to mean a whole lot. And I'll explain a bit more about that and how it applied to my preferences in a minute. But I'll say that you might be somebody who cannot live without a great sounding car. So even if a car scores an overall 8, excuse me, an overall A, but scores lower in the sound category, you might hate it. Or if it's, you know, like I love how a car drives in R Factor 2, Automobilista, something like that. So for me, that's something I look for. So the Lamborghini Murcielago for R Factor 2 that you've seen me feature a lot lately looks terrible. Looks like it got ported over from Super Nintendo or something. It actually got ported over from R Factor 1, but I think it looks absolutely awful, and I can't get enough of it. I absolutely love that car. The way it drives, the feeling through the wheel just blows my mind, and I cannot get enough of that car. So even though it's going to score probably a lower letter grade because of the way it looks, and it doesn't sound that great either, I don't care. I love it. So please don't pay too much mind to the overall score, but it is sort of a way for me to, you know, give you some relative comparisons. And again, I've been saying things on the channel, you know, when I review cars, like it drives fantastic or it feels really good or things like that. But what does that actually mean? Those are just words. But if I score it out of 10, it will hopefully give you guys a little bit of a base to, you know, decide whether or not you want to bother downloading this car, or whether you should bother buying the car. So that's the intent with this, guys, is just to give some sort of comparison, some sort of metrics to work with, so that if I like a car or don't like certain aspects of a car, it allows me to express that. But again, the overall score, don't let it decide. Just because something gets an A doesn't mean you're necessarily going to like it, or just because I give it a C doesn't necessarily mean you're going to dislike it. So just keep that in mind. But I think the overall scores, I think if something scores like an A+ or something like that, it will be a good overall car that you can't really go wrong with. So that's really going to do it for this video, guys. So just wanted to introduce you to that. I've got a few videos on backlog that I'll be releasing soon, and those will not have mic scores. But moving forward, when new content drops, be it, you know, mods or paid DLC or whatever, I'm going to try and assign it a excuse me, a mic score, not a Doug score. But again, shout out Doug DeMiro, love your channel. And yeah, so I'm going to assign it a mic score, and that will be the metric. So like I say, I don't know if this has been done in sim racing yet, and maybe it'll be a terrible idea, but I want to try it. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We're moving forward with the mic score. Let's do this. Yeah, thank you guys so much for the support once again, and we'll talk to you next time.